Welcome to the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and the founder of the Write Your Own Story company. Girl, I can tell you right now, you are definitely enough. Here we value service, sisterhood, connection, laughter, and that super genuine, keep it real, tell you like it is honesty. My hope is at the end of each episode, you realize you can do whatever it is you dream about and that you are not alone with what you struggle with. I'm hoping that you are snapping and clapping and hell yes in your way through each one of these episodes. So if this tracks with you, let's get started. I'm so glad you're here. All right, everyone, welcome back to the latest episode of the Write Your Own Story podcast. I am so excited to be here with Dana Marlowe, who is a social entrepreneur and activist and the founder and CEO of I Support the Girls. Dana is an absolute badass just in doing my research last night, and her mission is so critically important. So I am so excited to have you here, Dana. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Betsy. I'm excited to chat today.
Absolutely. I like to start every show with an intention. And I love, in our sort of pre-chat, the dedication that you had said that you want to dedicate this show to. So I would love to just kind of read directly from the page because I always put a lot of thought into these episodes' intentions. But this is to ground both us and for all of those listening. But per Dana's request, which I am thrilled to honor, this episode is dedicated to Mary Beatrice Davidson Kenner, an innovator whose invention helped revolutionize menstrual care, yet whose brilliance was overlooked and undervalued because of racial discrimination. As we honor Women's History Month, we recognize not only the women whose names made the headlines, but also the women whose contributions quietly shaped our daily lives. May this conversation remind us that dignity is not a luxury, access is not optional, and the work of advancing equality, especially menstrual equality, stands on the shoulders of women like Mary Beatrice Davidson Kenner. Oh, Dana, this is a conversation. I mean, I'm a woman, I menstruate, but there's in my research in what you do and how you bring it to life, there's so much that I needed to be educated on. So I'm going to ask all the questions that probably feel like dumb and obvious, but I am just so grateful to have this conversation. Women need to know more. So let's dive in. Can you tell me a little bit about what was your personal journey that led you to even start I Support the Girls? Like, how did we get here?
So it was an accident. I didn't mean to start a global NGO. But sometimes accidents happen, and that's what happened here. Whoops. I had, over the course of a year plus, I had started exercising more and eating better and taking my health more in control. And this is before I turned 40. And I had lost weight. I also am a mom with 2 kids. So my body has changed shape and size through the years from the 2 pregnancies. And, as someone who chose to breastfeed their kids, things that were up here, years later were down here. And that's a fun visual.
Totally.
So you'll have to go make sure you're watching it on YouTube if you're listening right now. And I needed new bras after losing 35 pounds. So over that year, I lost weight, but this is not a traditional weight loss story. But when you do lose weight, and I lost weight everywhere, and my clothing didn't fit, but neither did my bras. So I was going bra shopping near me. And while in the store, because I didn't even know what size I was anymore, it wasn't like a guess. When you lose 35 pounds and you've nursed 2 kids and things move around, I couldn't even guess what size. It wasn't like, I've lost a few pounds, I'm probably this. 35 pounds was a significant enough weight loss that I needed to actually get properly fitted and measured. And
Sure.
For anyone listening who's had that kind of experience, right, where you've been in a small dressing room in a mall or in a boutique with a perfectly good sales associate, a wonderful stranger who's getting close to your body because you need to know this information.
Uh-huh.
It's a unique experience. Not everyone has had that experience. I recognize that. So while I was getting fitted and putting on these new bras, I realized that I had a drawer full of really good, beautiful bras that would no longer fit me, that I've just been shoving to the back of the drawer. And sometimes I'm from New York, so sometimes people can hear my accent right at that word. Because when you're pulling out your drawer and you have all the bras, I was just shoving them like a bottomless pit, thinking that I'll just get different sizes and I'll just keep shoving. And what if I need that strapless one? What if I need that red one for the specific dress? And it wasn't logical. It was just what I was doing. And
Oh,
I
but
asked
every
this
woman, it feels this exact same way.
100%. This is for women who choose to wear bras. This is a very shared experience. That's not what I've learned is not has not been often talked about. And so that's what I do. I talk a lot about bras and periods. But I was in the mall and I asked this woman, what could I do with my perfectly good bras that no longer fit me? And she said 4 words. She said, homeless women need bras. Those 4 words. And I'm like, I'm in the mall, I'm half naked, looking at myself in a mirror with a bra and like jeans on. And I'm like, wait a second. So I am somebody who donates my clothing that doesn't fit, my kids' clothing, our jackets, upcycling our furniture and books, and like participating in that aspect of society of upcycling. But I had never donated my bras. So if I was bagging up or boxing up clothing, I had never opened up my bra drawer and taken out all the bras that really I'm not wearing, whether they were sports bras or maternity bras or nursing bras or sexy bras, nothing. I just wasn't donating them because they felt so personal and intimate. But this woman,
Yeah.
she gave me the go ahead. So that was my light bulb moment, was basically standing half naked in a Soma dressing room getting fitted for new bras, and I was like, wait, homeless women need bras, she just told me. And I went home, and I'm super nerdy, and so I get online to confirm if this is true. And it is
Love that.
that bras are so rarely donated, as are menstrual products, and we'll get there in a moment. And I was like, wait a
Yeah.
second, do they want my gently used bras, not my the kind of bras
Fair.
that I would give my like a best friend, or I don't have a sister, I have a brother, but like a sister or a close friend, like the not my like ratty everyday favorite bras, that I wouldn't donate those. So I'm really talking about
Totally.
like the really good quality, like the nicer quality, like lesser worn ones. And
Yeah.
I didn't know this. It turns out it's a real thing. I counted up. I had 16 bras, sports bras, underwire bras, etc., different styles, and I called a local shelter to me. I live in the Washington D.C. area of the US, and I called a shelter and said, "I just learned about this need that homeless women need bras. I know it you guys do great work. I've donated to you before. Is this true? Do you actually need bras? They are all gently worn. Nothing is new, but they are all clean, and I will clean them all again before donating, like fresh." And he said, "Yes, when can you get here?" I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, keep in mind they're by and large they're all
Hmm.
around the same size. Like there's some variation, but they're not." He said, "No
Sure.
problem. We'll find somebody. We have so many women coming in and out here every day. This is perfect." I said, "Okay, well, I don't know what I don't
Hmm.
know." And that goes for so many things in life. So I was like, "What else? What else can I do?
Yeah.
What else do you need?" And the guy's name was Greg, and Greg
Aw.
said, "Well, if you're willing to donate bras, would you consider donating some maxi pads and tampons? We do not have a budgetary line
Oh.
item for them. They are not covered by food stamps or WIC or any of the government subsidizing programs, and
Mhm.
nobody donates them." And he's like, "The same women who need your bras, chances are a high percentage also need some menstrual products." And I was like, sure. And I live in the
Yeah.
suburbs near our big box stores. And I'm like, I have two busy kids. So like I'm in and out of Costco and or like other big stores. I'm like, I can pick up several packages of pads and tampons and bring them in with my
Sure.
bras. So then I wound up, and this is the power I find of connections. In this case, female connections and friendships, because you never know who's going to give you that next light bulb moment. So the next day, I was out for a
Mhm.
walk on my lunch break with my friend Alana, just near me. She works from home too. We were taking a lunch break walk in our on the trails in our neighborhood, and I'm recounting the story. And she looked at me and she goes, "Wait, you can donate your bras? I didn't know that." She's also happens to be a mom, has 3 kids. She has 3 kids. She's like, "My body has changed shape over the years so many times. I didn't know I could donate them. I donate my other clothes." Same story as me. She's like, "Let me give you my bras. I'll rewash them all and I'll give them to you."
Right?
Right. So my 16 bras literally tripled, like in one conversation. And I was like, wait.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and Alana's a lawyer
Yeah.
and she's smart and she's tapped in and savvy. I was like, well, if she didn't know about this, maybe other people don't know. And so I
Mm.
put it out on my Facebook page, which I know makes me sound like an unk, but I put it out on Facebook and I was like, hey, I just learned about this need. Here's what happened. And I put it very like systematically. I'm going to do a broad drive, but also a menstrual product collection. Um, and I think I said for 2 weeks. And this was July of
Yeah.
2015. So I was
Okay.
like, okay. I was like, I will do this for 2 weeks. You can drop off at my house. I was doing pickups and it exploded, Betsy. Totally exploded.
Mm.
And so people shared
Gosh.
it on their Facebook page. They shared it with their friends, and their families were sharing it like on different like email lists and group chats. And everyone's like, I want to donate. How do I donate? What can I give you? People were like, let me give you money. Like I would run into somebody walking into CVS to pick up, like something, for my family. And they're like, here's $20 for some maxi pads.
Sure.
I was like, I don't know do I give you a receipt? I don't know. How does this work? Like,
Right.
I was like, I don't have a plan. And so for a couple weeks, that's all it was. And then it got really busy with folks then in I extended the time frame and summer got crazy and people wanted to keep donating. One thing leads to another. There's schools that are doing collection drives, there's book clubs that
Oh
are
my
doing
God.
collection drives, there's coffee shops that wanted to get involved. And it got a little crazy. And our local paper, which is the Washington Post, reached out and they wanted to do a story on it. And so
Just
we
a
talked
little local paper.
it's our local paper. I'm, like again, I live in a big city, so it's a big paper, but it's our local
Right.
paper. And we talked a lot about that. I talk a lot about they had wanted to originally come here and do the story to my home. And I felt like the story is not about a privileged middle-aged white woman who's doing a broad drive. Like that's not what the story really needs to be focused on. Why do people not have access to basic essentials like maxi pads for their periods, or why are bras never donated because they're deemed too sexy or not talked about? And that's the story. So
Mm.
I said I would do the interview at the location we were doing the donation for, and that is what we wound up doing. And we wound up donating collectively because again, I only gave 16 bras and a bunch of boxes, a trunk load from Costco, right? Like this is a minor amount.
Yeah.
We wound up donating over
Yeah.
8,000 products in the first donation. And
Oh
it
my
was
God. That
way
is
bigger.
incredible.
It was huge. It was huge. Or I mean, at the time I thought it was huge. Now that's like, now my metrics are so different of what huge means. So that at the time it was huge.
Sure.
And it really exploded, and the Washington Post story came out, and it was in the weekend section, which for newspaper
Hmm.
readers is a higher publication reading count, both online on digital formats and in print copy back then. Again, this is back in 2015.
Sure.
And um yeah, it just kind of exploded, and I realized I didn't there was no name for this project. Like people were like, Dana's Bra Project. I was like, no, that doesn't have enough panache to it. And so I wound up calling it
Yeah.
Support the Girls. Again, if you're listening, but you're listening on YouTube or wherever podcasts are, and you need to go see the video of this, the hand motions make this much better than I'm verbally describing. But Support the Girls has a double entendre,
Yep.
and I felt like
Yes, it does.
we're supporting women and girls, and it's also tongue in cheek, so that for those who find it funny, for those who get it, right? And
It's
I was like, that's
hilarious.
so much better. And I had put together a Facebook page and a website, along with articles about menstrual health and hygiene and bras and bra fittings, whatever I could conjure up online, just as some additional resources, and the Washington Post article. And after that, it exploded. Um, I couldn't use
Mm.
my phone because the messages and at the time, the tweets and the DMs and the emails were coming in so furiously. I couldn't I couldn't actually communicate. It was crazy. And that's how this whole thing got started. And then since then, soon after, we put together this incredible team and board of directors and became an official nonprofit shortly thereafter, because people wanted to keep donating money and people wanted to do corporate donations, like matching donations. And I'm like, I'm just a mom. Like, you want to give me money? I happen to be a very reliable, authentic human. So if you're giving me that amount of money, I will absolutely spend exactly what you give me or as close to it as possible on whatever you want. I will track
Yeah.
it. But I can't give
Yeah.
you a receipt. I can give you the receipt from the purchase. But at that point, I'm like, you should just buy it yourself, and then give me the
Yeah.
product and I'll donate the product. And so it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we started doing like crowdfunding originally and raised, I don't know, several tens of thousands of dollars in crowdfunding. And I had products in my basement and my guest bedroom. And my kids at the time were very young and were like constantly helping me carry in, bags of bras that people dropped off, and they were stacking, instead of Legos, they were making like tampon towers, like with the boxes. And it
Yes,
was,
totally.
it was a lot. And that's how this got started back in 2015.
That is incredible. It is literally like undeniable from the universe. It's like, not only is this going to go viral, I'm going to fill your house head to toe. Like, it's just like you almost had no other choice. I mean, certainly you had choice, but it just became so obviously clear. Do you have background in nonprofit fundraising, anything like that?
No, not, I mean, I don't. The answer is a quick no. However, I have
Mhm.
background in communications, in marketing, and I am an entrepreneur. So at that time, and I still do, have two other
Sure.
businesses in IT, like nothing to do with human
Oh,
rights. I
wow.
mean, well, I say that, actually, no. We'll
Yeah.
put a pin in it. Yes, it has something to do with human rights, and accessibility, which is very important. But it's a for-profit IT company. It's not a nonprofit.
Sure.
And so I've always just run the nonprofit like I've run a business. And I think that
Yeah.
once I got the right people together, because I so quickly realized that this was replicable and scalable if we could put in place the
Mhm.
infrastructure to do so, right? Put together.
I
So
love
I wrote
that.
like a how-to
Absolutely.
guide. And because really all
Mhm.
this was, again, for folks listening who want to play along at home with some visuals, I'm holding up two pens because my inbox was flooded with people, silo one of people who wanted to donate products or host a drive of products. And then silo two, like the other column, if you will, next to it is
Yeah.
individuals who are messaging me every hour saying, I'm a homeless woman with two daughters and I desperately need some new bras and maxi pads. Or I'm the executive director of a domestic violence shelter in Iowa, can you please send us products? And like it was constant. And so I was like, well, we have these two pillars, right? These two silos of people who want to donate money and products or host collection drives and people who need these products.
Yep.
So all I support the girls has to become is like the bridge on top. And so
Yep.
that is by and large, we do so much more now. We have multiple programs and advocacy and education. We do a lot more, but at its core at the beginning, that's what we were focusing on, and we still do. We partner with massive corporations who donate millions of dollars of product every year to us, and we get those out to thousands of different social service agencies and nonprofits who distribute them to their clients.
Incredible. I have to tell you, I'm literally obsessed with my Aura Ring 4. Honestly, my Apple Watch was way too much noise for me. Stand up, sit down, you have a meeting, you're late, your steps are low, breathe, all the things. But this little ring has been an absolute game changer. It doesn't just track my sleep, it helps me actually rest better. Every morning, I get insights into my recovery, my readiness for the day, and whether my body needs more downtime. It even tracks my steps, my cycle, and literally so much more. If you're someone who loves data, cares about your health, and also loves cute jewelry, this ring is for you. This is a gentle reminder, backed by science, that rest is just as important as hustle. Unlock this powerful tool for better sleep, less stress, and smarter recovery with Aura Ring 4. Use my link in the show notes to get 10% off your Aura Ring today. Okay, from a marketing communication standpoint, because that's my background as well, this whole time I've just been curious, what is your perspective on what made this go so viral? What's the insight that people are like, that just tugs at the heartstrings? I mean, because plenty of people are like, oh, yeah, that's so important, but life gets busy. And, like the amount of follow through from people in your community and the level of growth just from the jump is incredible. Like, what's the humanness behind that that's driving that?
So at the beginning, people kept saying, "Oh my God, Dana, you figured out this is lightning in a bottle. This is like a once in a lifetime thing. You don't." And I think there were a lot of factors. Number one, in 2015, it was a pivotal year. If you were to look back and do a
Mm,
quantitative study of qualitative literature about what was written
okay.
about menstrual products and no, about periods. And if you were to
Okay.
look back 2014 and earlier, there were far fewer in the media. I didn't classify that within the media. There
Okay.
were far
Okay.
fewer stories on mainstream media, on television, newspaper, print, digital formats, social media that were talking about periods and menstrual cycles. 2015 hit, and there were several different reasons why,
Hmm.
as my friend Jennifer Weisswolf wrote a book called Periods Gone Public, right? And that was a
Mm,
pivotal year where there were a bunch of different, by and large, folks who identify as women, including myself and Jennifer and another like colleague of ours, Elise, up in New Jersey with her daughters, and multiple other people who were bringing attention and light through different ways, whether it was about collections and drives, whether it was through the written word and articles, whether it was through spoken word. We were all talking about periods, and we all happen to be, mostly, not all, middle aged moms. And there's something interesting about a middle aged mom who doesn't have
hmm.
any fear. Because
Yep.
I don't care if I'm talking
It's the
about
best
periods
part
and
about being
bras.
middle aged.
Right, for sure,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, but
Yeah.
I don't have a problem talking about tampons and bras and missed periods to people. But I don't have any background in that, as we just shared. So, like, neither did some of these other people. So, periods really went mainstream that year. So, I think society
Mm,
just hit a point where they, as a culmination of a group of people, of humanity, were willing to talk more about periods, and also on the bras and who needs these items around dignity and why. And
yeah.
so when you the first one is about society. I think society,
Mhm.
just the timing was just pure luck. I didn't do anything special about
Yeah, it
that.
was primed for it.
It was
Yeah.
just now, if I had had this idea and I had lost weight 3 years earlier, I don't know if it would have had the same
Mm,
impact. But there was something about that year
interesting.
that
Yeah.
just made it. So number one, I'm going to credit the timing and society's readiness for the conversation, which has nothing to do with me, and nor did I know that at the time, right? I was like, so I just
Sure.
want to recognize that that had nothing to do with me. I am somebody, my brain split very business oriented. And I'm also very nerdy, but I also have part of my brain that is wildly creative. And I like
Love it.
marketing and branding, and I'm always down for those kinds of conversations of raising awareness. And in retrospect, after having a lot of this discourse with folks through the years, I've actually been like typed into a lot of human rights activities, discourse, conversations through the years in lots of different ways. And so I was ready to also have these kind of conversations publicly as well. And I was very lucky to bring a lot of folks to the table who are all smarter than I am. And that's key. Everybody was smarter than I am in different ways. And we had several meetings of folks who came from that I'm very fortunate to have a social network of very smart friends and people in my life who are willing to get behind this idea. So I had researched the idea of starting this, and I was like, but I'm sure this exists, right? So I did quite a bit of research. I even hired someone to help me like research this, like maybe like, And we came up with pages of information of like, well, there's a small nonprofit in like New Jersey that was doing this with bras, and there was a small group in Oregon that was doing it with period products, hyper focused to Oregon, and then there was a group in South Africa that was doing it, and one in UK, and but there was nothing systematized. There was no streamline option. And that's where I
Mm,
said, I bet we can make a difference. And what if we put this in place? And so we're kind of a nonprofit to nonprofit, like a business to business model, but more of the nonprofit to nonprofit
yep.
concept. And it just didn't exist then. So we did the research, and then I brought folks to the table who are willing to have these conversations. And these people are so much smarter than I am on strategic development and nonprofit management and business operations and marketing and public relations and communications. And we got together for hours and hours and hours. And I brought in a moderator to help guide our conversations so that I could participate. And that's where we are. That's kind of the thing. We're like, wait, this is scalable, this is replicable. I wound up very early on, after the Washington Post article hit, several people who read the article reached out and were like, I want to do this in my community. So I put together
Awesome.
like a
Yeah.
a guidebook, a tips and tricks kind
Right.
of.
Like a playbook. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, and shared that, and I was like, let's see if this works. And lo and behold,
I
it worked.
It's incredible. And I jotted down a few notes because just even like the business side of this, the leadership side of this is so inspiring. And there are so many important nuggets. But before we get into that, one of the things that you continue to bring up that I think goes back to the humanness of this is the conversation around dignity. And I think women can so deeply relate for any community, any human can understand the importance of dignity, but anyone who's ever been marginalized can certainly feel it in their bones, whether it's happened to them or generations before them. It carries from bone to bone what it feels like to have your dignity diminished. So I think, what I want to talk about for just a bit is like, can we shed some additional light on how having access to these basic items affects women's dignity and how it affects their day-to-day life, especially in the homeless community where they are trying to get back on their feet? Just to put some additional humanness around this, because it really, like, this dignity piece has me, like, my empathetic heart just absolutely shredded.
Of course. So I think not having access to these basic essential items like maxi pads or tampons or clean underwear
Mm-hmm.
or bra really impacts a person's confidence and how they move through the
Yeah.
world. So whether that person's experiencing homelessness or um, living on the poverty line, these are items that actually can be life changing.
Yeah.
And people don't think of, oh, a tampon, why is that life changing? Right. And I get that.
Oh,
But there are girls who are 15 years old who are missing math class in Ohio and California and Nebraska and Maryland and all over the world because their family can't afford them a box of pads, or they don't have
yeah.
access to clean water, right? A lot of people do talk about, when I talk about disposable items like pads and tampons, they're like, well, what about reusable items like reusable pads or menstrual cups? And I think it's a really important topic from a
Mm-hmm.
sustainability approach, but you do have to have access
Sure.
to clean, hot water. You need to have access to privacy. You need to have access to often boil them, and also safe cleaning and storage of them in between cycles. So there's other
Yeah.
points at play in those conversations. They are important to consider, and we do provide tens of thousands of reusables donated every year. But by and
Mm-hmm.
large, these simple items of having a basic bra, right, can have you stand up straighter, have your clothes fit more
Yes.
comfortable. Like maybe it gives that woman who's experiencing homelessness the feeling like, oh my gosh, I can go for that job interview now. I can feel better about
Absolutely.
how my clothes are laying. And Having access to menstrual hygiene products means you're not constantly worrying about leakage,
Yeah.
or like, am I
Yes.
bleeding through my pants or my outfit and I don't have access to a washing machine to dry in or a dryer? Is it, am I smelling? Is it uncomfortable? Like, there's all of these different elements around dignity that I support the
Yeah.
girls does via providing new bras and underwear and menstrual hygiene products and toiletries to folks in need.
God, thank you for shedding light on that. It just, I mean, can you imagine going for the interview and like I can't even open my front door without a bra on because I'm like, it just feels so uncomfortable. I'm like, who's going to see my boobies? Like,
Right. No, it's a
and it
thing.
just, let alone trying to show up in the world.
Right. No, it's also about lack of access to
It's,
knowledge, right? So for particularly then for younger
yeah.
people, right, access to how to manage your period and what is a period, and access to these products around
Yeah.
having your period. Not everyone has the same education in their families, their school, their friend groups, etc. So there's a lot of different parts and elements to the conversation.
Absolutely. And gosh, just the fear of leaking and then to be able to launder your clothes, and to your point, it can be anything from level of poverty to homelessness to, I mean, there are plenty of um, instances and circumstances that can bring someone to a challenging area. That
Right.
also, um, has the WIC status or any of that changed at all since you've been in operation since 2015? Is this any of this covered yet?
So it really became a state by state thing. So now we're talking US versus other
Mm.
states. Some countries
Okay.
have modified their laws to provide access to period products. So
Hmm.
it becomes a different country by country thing. So here in the US, they really tried to push it back on the states. And then in some of the states, they
Hmm.
tried to push it back on the cities. So, for example, in New York City, right, where we have the
Hmm.
largest population in a city, I think, in the US, right? We have 8 million people there. They did put forth some laws about providing free menstrual hygiene products in public spaces that include schools, libraries, correctional facilities, those kinds of spaces. So some places have these laws. Whether or not they're followed
Mm.
through and
Right.
they're they're doing it.
Funded.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
well, so they
Yeah.
provided the funding for New York to do that, but then different cities and states
Mm.
do that, and it could even be like your school district, right? So does your local
Mhm.
public
Yeah.
school district want to create the budgetary line item to provide menstrual products in your local public schools? And is it just high schools? Are they going to do
Mhm.
high schools and middle schools? In some places, elementary schools, girls who are in fourth, fifth grade, sixth grade
Yeah.
have their periods and they need access. And the nurses, we receive emails daily from nurses from schools, all grades, all over the
Mm.
country, asking for products because they do not have a budgetary line item and they are paying for it out of their own pocket.
Uh-huh.
It's
It
heavy. It's
again,
heavy.
the whole budget. Yeah, it's heavy for sure. And I just to think about, middle school is hard enough and elementary, like,
Oh, for
being a kid is
sure.
hard. Being being a kid in today's world is extra hard. I think about that all the time. Like, our
Yes.
kids feel the weight of the world on their shoulders and they see the weight on our shoulders, let alone having to navigate just these basic, I say basic not to discredit like how hard it is, but what we
Sure.
would, those of us who sit in privilege, consider basic, um, accessible things. And it just,
Yeah,
it's maddening. Oh,
for
thank you
sure.
for doing the work that you do.
It's a team approach.
um,
This is a teamwork makes the dream work kind of thing.
absolutely. Which you are so clear on. And I really appreciate that. But, I think that, and we'll get further into your leadership, but I think I would just, as we continue to talk about the dignity conversation, are there any things that you wish people understood more about sort of period equality, basic human rights? I think we've talked a lot about sort of what it is like to experience it and where the challenges are coming from. Are there any other like misconceptions or just like, oh my God, I wish people knew before we move on?
Yeah, I would drill down to what I just shared about access to knowledge again. I think, Everyone
Yeah. Oh, I
tends
love
to
that.
point fingers in other directions. So it's like, oh, well, that's the parents' responsibility. Well, they may have parents in the house, but if the parents are working
Mm,
two or three jobs, right, just to get by, to pay rent
mhm.
and bills, they may not have the time to also
Yeah.
be educating. And if the parents do have the time, it may not be something they're comfortable talking about. There's a lot of different cultural nuances and religious nuances that make menstrual cycles less comfortable for certain populations to discuss. And so they're like, oh, that'll be covered in school. Well, there's been a lot of changes here in
Mm,
the US on what school districts are willing to teach. I don't think we should drill down
yeah.
too much into that, but I would say I would point fingers at states of Texas and Florida in the last 5 years
Mm,
and take a look at how they've been rolling back education around menstrual health and hygiene and the reproductive system and many other what I personally deem as critical bits of knowledge to be imparting on today's youth, and they roll it right back like.
absolutely.
And so that's what I would say. From a I wish people understood that it's more than just getting tampons and pads. It's a full on education access need, and that's not always happening for everyone.
Yeah. Side note, I love how you have tackled the education piece in your social content. As I was prepping for this, I was just like, all the things that you kind of put out there just to help women and girls be prepared and to understand more and to normalize the conversation. I was like, this is just incredible. So
um
I appreciate that effort. And
Thank you. I think that is, and my colleague Daniela and my colleagues Rachel and Erin do an incredible job at communication, um, and so did the other team members doing all different wearing so many different hats as well. But that
sure.
is one thing that I love actually talking about because I support the girls has really provided me an outlet for ways to have social change and clear impact on raising social consciousness and awareness building via creative marketing. And
Yeah.
there's marketing agencies up the wazoo that talk about it all the time, and this is what they do. And we have a decade of lived experience where we get to see the impact. And we're in the middle
Mhm.
of one right now. We just launched a campaign and it's hitting people's mailboxes. It's direct mail first, followed by social platforms
Oh,
coming up in
cool.
2 weeks. um and we just got 4 donations yesterday, so it just started hitting mailboxes. We got our first person who said it got to their mailbox yesterday, from the team. So we know it, but it takes a long time. And again, we're as a nonprofit, we're using nonprofit mailing rates, and so it's not like a stamp where you know exactly approximately how many days depending on what zone in the country you're in. It's a little bit longer than that, just from an affordability
Sure.
kind of like, you know, fiscal responsibility,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And
I was
so
just going to say, being a good steward.
a good steward, absolutely. And so it takes a little bit longer,
Yeah.
and the timeline is a little bit different. um, but we get to see this play out in real time. And right before I had shared this, like started chatting with you, I had shared a message on one of our internal Slack channels and was like, oh, I just had an idea. I know, and it's so minute, okay, Betsy, like the but I wanted to say it so that I didn't forget, because half the time that's the battle with my
Sure.
brain is I will forget it no matter how many times I
Right.
document it on my notes or I record it. Like I have access to a lot of ways to data track my brain, but my brain is always like, woo, bright shiny object. Woo, here's a great idea. Ooh, look at these sparkly glitter pens.
Squirrels, shiny.
Squirrel. Yeah,
Yes, totally.
totally. And
Same,
I was like,
same, same, same,
so
same.
it was such a minute idea that I had. And I'm like, if we ever do this again, and it was basically the difference of the concept was neon yellow versus neon orange, right? Like this is so minor in the grand scheme of things. And because of the timing of our decisions, it was not at play this time. That couldn't have happened. And but I put it out there, and like it's because we can have these big topic conversations. We can drill down to these minutia. And I find it all very fun in the creative process. And then we get to see what
Yeah.
works, what sticks. Why did that work so well? Why did that particular social media post have 1 million views? Why did this one all of a sudden have thousands of comments? Did we, in our pre planning when we talked about it, did we think it was going to be this popular? And sometimes they surprise us, and from those conversations people reach out to us and we're able to dialogue differently. It makes us think differently. We have launched new programs because of our team having creative ideas, because of what they've seen and what they've heard, that they want to have an impact in a different way. And so I think that's part of the beauty of I mean, we're a small nonprofit in the grand scheme of things, right? We're not, I mean, we are a global NGO. We are in 6
Yeah. I
countries.
was like, I believe you're
Um,
global, but yes.
we are, but we're not World Wildlife Fund. We're not Save the Children. We are not Planned Parenthood. We are not Susan G. Komen. These are organizations that have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on their IRS forms every, like, we can aspire to be there, but we're not there yet. Like, these are like massive operations. We're big comparatively speaking. And so yeah, we
Yeah.
have
No, I get it.
that.
I get it.
We have over 50 affiliate locations. So there's like, I support the girls Columbus, and I support the girls
I
Dallas, and I
saw.
support the girls San Diego, and I support the girls Orlando, and I support the girls in Pakistan, the Philippines, Germany, Canada, and Australia, in addition to the US. So those are the
It's
6 countries.
incredible.
And so we're fully in, like, we are a global NGO. We are all over the US. We have collectively donated over 46 million products. We track every product donated. And so my 16 bras have now multiplied and we're up to 46 million products. And
A little bit.
it's a little bit. That's why,
It's
like, I
so
was like, we
incredible.
donated 8,000. Isn't that cute? Right. And so now we're like at 46
It's
million.
so
And so,
cute.
like, and we're like, we average like 10 million products donated a year. And we're partnering with massive corporations, like the name brands, household brands that that people use, wear, see, etc. Um, and we're able to have a pretty big impact. And part of that is we're a logistics operation, right? Like, we can move product
Yes. Yes.
faster and more
Yes.
efficiently than most, which is why, like, companies reach out and they're like, all right. I mean, last week we had a request for a company was going out of business, and they found in their warehouse 55,000 maxi pads. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
55,000. It turned out to be about 35 pallets of pads. Okay. And my colleague handled it no problem, but they had to be, it was a Michigan based location, which is where they were, and we had a very short timeline, and they needed to be picked up. Well, that's multiple tractor trailers of pickup, by the way. And it was like, my colleague handled it like
For
it was no
sure.
big deal, right? 55,000 pads were placed, they will get used, and it's perfect. And so we handle large scale products and donations. A lot of people are familiar with, like, Victoria's Secret semi-annual sale, if that's something that you've ever seen,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
the Victoria's Secret semi-annual sale.
Of course.
After
Yeah.
the semi-annual sale happens and people buy their items, and then they have the leftovers, we receive all of the leftovers. It could be pajamas,
Oh,
robes,
that's exciting.
sweatpants, jackets, obviously new bras and underwear, lingerie, all of it. So yeah, so we receive 200 huge pallets or gaylords of product, a couple times a year. So it's a large volume. It's a large volume and a small
Um,
staff.
one of Without a doubt. And I like really want to tap into the logistics piece of it because that kind of stuff, even though I am very much like a strategist, marketing creative, like the logistics aspect of this and like your business model and all the things. But one of the things I just wanted to comment on quickly of my other favorite thing that I discovered was that who was it? You have a singer that like gets bras thrown at him all the time and he now donates them to you. I was
My
like,
God,
this is
we
incredible.
we have worked with so many singers. So that's a rapper named Young Gravy, and I have to say,
Mhm.
after hearing who your audience for this podcast is, I'm not quite sure there's a lot of Venn diagram overlap between Young Gravy listeners and your podcast. But you know what? Surprise me if you listen
Maybe
to
my
Young
kids.
Gravy at. They're a little too young. They're a little too young. I mean, that he dominates really really well with college and early 20s is what I
Cool.
would say. Yes, he's a rapper.
I am neither of those things.
You same same but you could listen to his stuff. So he's a rapper. His name's Young Gravy, and he was getting bras thrown on stage, like lots of bras, and he put out a TikTok, and we got tagged in it within like minutes. And we wound up
Yes, I love
then reaching out, and I did a response video. I was on site when this came out. My team was on site for a corporate event. We do a lot of corporate events with major corporations, where they bring
sure.
us on site and we lead folks in a give back activity, and they have some moments, and we donate, in that community, and we do education. It's really a lot. It's a really wonderful experience. And I just recorded a quick video in response and was like, "Hey, Young Gravy." I happen to know who Young Gravy, was at the time, because I really, really like music, and I knew a couple of his songs. And I
Yeah.
said, we wound up getting connected, and I went to his final show and spoke on stage with him, which is, they're like, "Dana, you do a lot of public speaking. You okay getting on stage at a rap concert?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, absolutely. Throw it at me. Like, say yes, right? Like,
Yes.
and
Say
he
yes.
was he was lovely, and we had a great time. um and before that, we had worked with another artist, a woman named Haley Kayoko. She had donated bras that were thrown on her stage on tour. And then it's been a bunch of different musicians. Last year, in 2025 and in 2024, we worked with Charlie XCX, which I'm guessing your
Uh-huh.
demographic would know. And
Yeah.
she came out with a phenomenal banger, um, and a whole album called Brat, and people had Brat Summer. Um, and so we worked
Yep.
with her.
Yep.
It was really genius. She actually like recorded her whole album, which was fantastic as it was. And then she re-recorded the whole album differently. With every song was a collaboration with other well-known artists, sounding different. And one
That's
of her
so cool.
songs is called Guess, Guess, Guess. And she did a collab with Billie Eilish, who again is par-
Obsessed.
particularly well known. And at the end of this music, they put together this music video for the song Guess, and we partner with them. And at the end, it says, there's basically, if you go watch it, there's like a bra mountain, underwear mountain, and like they're throughout the whole music video. It's a very fun song. And they, at the end, they're like, all, I don't remember the exact language, but all the bras and underwear will be donated to I Support the Girls, to help survivors of domestic violence. And it had our
Oh,
logo, which is really cool. And then
I
she
just
did
got goosebumps. Now.
it was crazy, Betsy. Like, uh,
It's
that
crazy.
was
It's
that was
literally like you
crazy.
just literally said music video, Billie Eilish logo,
I
like you're on
know.
rock stages. Like
I it
I'm
was
like
wait,
as a
but
human, I am like geeking out for you. And then
no,
as a business person, I'm like,
it,
way to diversify your communication portfolio so much that you are
it's
reaching
huge.
people in a
It's
way
huge.
that you never thought you could. I am like you
It,
say you're nerdy. I'm insatiably curious and I also nerd
I
out
love
over
that.
things. And right
I
now
love
I'm
that.
like trying to control myself because I'm totally freaking out right now.
That's adorable.
I am obsessed with all of this from a pop culture perspective all the
Oh,
way to
from
like business and
I'm
logistics.
a pop culture junkie. So like we've also worked with other indie artists and done
Yes,
tours with
same.
them, and it's been super fun. And but then, so that album does insanely well, rightfully so. It's a fantastic album. And I wind up
Right on.
doing
Yeah.
a crap ton of PR after that. Like I'm like 1 minute I'm on like BBC World News Tonight, like then I'm doing like I Rolling Stone, and like it was a whirlwind, and it was super fun. And so then
Oh my
six
God,
months
it's
go
so
by.
fun.
That song, I can't remember. Was this the album gets nominated for one of those Grammy Album of the Year things? I don't remember what they're called. Let's
Just
go
like
with
a
it.
little Grammy situation. Oh my
And
God.
she's invited to close out the Grammys last year. Not recent Grammys, but Grammys from a year ago. And
Yeah.
she's, you know how they have the Artist of the Year like performances,
Hmm.
right? They have like, and they'll have like
Hmm.
10 performances throughout the night or however many. Okay, she's the closing number. And they have
Holy.
stars on stage, and they're dropping 10,000 pairs of bras and underwear, and we're the partner. And I am like, so in the meetings beforehand, I'm like, listen, you guys are going to get into a lot of social consciousness trouble if it looks like you're not doing anything with these brand new products that are falling, and people know that they're not used products because you're not dumping used products on stage with, like, it's an obvious little conundrum you're in. I said, so my suggestion would be you need to have a chyron on the Grammys screen that says all of the products will be donated to the nonprofit organization I support the girls, helping survivors of domestic violence, however we wordsmith it. I get no confirmation that this is happening. You have to know like that, like you don't always like know. And I'm staying up. Oh, just for
Right.
funsies, I don't have a working television that shows me like TV in real time. I can watch like
Oh yeah, for
Netflix
sure.
and Disney Plus and like those streaming services, but I don't have like if I want to like turn on my local network and watch TV problem. And I'm at my friend's house. I had to be like,
Yeah.
hey, can I come over and watch TV tonight? Like I'm like 12. And she's like, so we actually had
Yes.
a girls' night dinner party
A
hanging out.
sleepover.
And I didn't know the timing that it was going to be the last um act. Like there's no communication about that.
Oh my God,
So
that's well past my bedtime.
oh, oh, we're into the next day. I was like, oh my gosh, I need toothpicks for my eyes here, Betsy. And then
Yes,
I see it on
literally.
the screen, and I'm like, holy moly, except moly is not the word that came out of my mouth. And I was
Right,
like, oh
without a
my
doubt.
gosh, I cannot believe this. And
Mm-mm.
I'm
Mm-mm.
on the
I'm
phone then,
freaking
and
out.
it's like 1 a.m. Eastern time, and I'm like basically on the phone with my colleagues going, okay, so this happened. I have a video recording of it because it won't be up, for like a while. What are we posting immediately? Thanking we had already had a plan in place, but we just need the content. I was on with two phones. I recorded content. We're all sharing who has the best recording of it. It was like a whole thing.
Yep.
And like people were like, Dana, we saw you at the Grammys. Were you there? Like as I was like in pajamas in my friend's living room.
At your friend's house because you like literally don't have a streaming
Because I
service for
don't
live
have a
TV. It's
TV. Yeah, no,
amazing.
it's the whole thing is so funny. And my kids are sleeping. Like no one's my whole family's nonplussed by this, by the way. You have to also understand um we've had a lot of
Hmm.
incredible opportunities and ways to get the word out about what we're doing. And I just feel so blessed and so
Hmm.
lucky because it's such an important cause, and there's tons of really
Yeah.
really really important um causes and needs to champion out there. And so I'm always grateful when we're able to raise a little bit of awareness and tap into society's eyeballs in that way.
In that giant major way. Yes, absolutely. But I think,
In a
you
giant
hit the
major
nail on
way.
the head that there
We've
are.
Yeah. And we've
I
we've
think
done
what's
some other
important,
big
it's
ones.
like,
Sorry.
oh, sorry, go ahead. No, no,
No,
please.
no, no, go ahead. I was
Well, I
going to
was just going to say,
mention
I'm
go
trying to be
ahead, Betsy.
mindful of your time because I want to keep you forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. But I think, you hit the nail on the head when you're like, there are so many important causes to champion out there. And I've just been kind of like keeping mental note of some of the big themes from like if you are someone who wants to champion a cause, or if even just as a business owner, but there have been so many important things. Like one is when you were describing sort of the two silos and that you just needed to be the bridge to start. And granted, that's 2015, we're 11 years out from now. And obviously like the nature of your nonprofit has just completely exploded in like the most impactful, important way. But to start simple and to be like, I'm the bridge, there is sort of an emotional, social component to it. Then there is a logistical component to it. And so I need to be able to figure out a way to solve the problem of their donors and people in need. How can I be the bridge? Then you kept it so simple that gave you the ability to scale, and so that you could go into other markets because that's where demand was, which I think is absolutely so smart and so incredible. I also am obsessed with how humble you are, and how you are the most brilliant thing that any of us can do is to surround ourselves with experts in areas that we are not an expert. We
For
cannot know
sure.
everything. We don't ever have to be this. We don't ever enough with being the smartest and the loudest in the room. Be the conduit, which I think you have done an incredible job. And I so appreciate how much love and support you give to all those incredible people that you have surrounded yourself with. From a leadership standpoint, that's the best kind of leader there is, to be like, hey, what are you great at? I have gaps. I need help. And you celebrate that. And that makes people want to stay. Not to mention that you have an incredible mission, but like, what an incredible environment to work in where people are so appreciated and celebrated and just like put on this trajectory to be like, what are you great at? Let's do it. I need you. I think that
Yeah.
is absolutely incredible.
It's fun. It's
And
fun.
then from like a growth, yeah.
It gives our younger staff who are newer to the workforce opportunities to come up with programs and watch, and we
Mm.
regularly say it's okay to fail, right? Like, and we have
Uh,
a history of, here are
yes.
projects that we failed at. There are some
Yep.
phenomenal examples that we thought, and we did the research and we reviewed it, and we thought this was going to
Mm.
explode and have these kind of metrics
Totally.
and impact, and it flopped. And we're like, whatever our driving force was, whether we were raising awareness or looking at different social media numbers, whether we were raising funds, typically as a nonprofit, we're looking at funds, and our campaign flopped.
Sure.
And then we want to do a postmortem. Why do we think it failed when we thought this was, bar none, the most phenomenal idea? And we don't have tons of those, fortunately, but you have to try.
Yeah.
And so I've had some team members
Yes.
come up with these ideas, and some of them have been amazing and still going on today. Um, we just launched a brand new one. Had like our soft launch like this month. This month it's called Survive. It's a survival guide for girls, and
I love it.
it's really geared for um, preteen and tween, teen girls ages. But it can be anybody can watch. And they're like these basic, short, less than a minute video series with a longer article that you could read more with resources on really basic stuff, whether it's how to make doctor's appointments, or why is a colonoscopy
Yep.
important, or like period related information, or how to write a check, right? All of these things that we see every day. We work with Girl Scout troops, we work with high school groups, we work with college groups, and we start seeing commonalities of gaps of knowledge amongst young girls. And so we're like, well, what can we do to change that? And one of my employees was like, what if we do this and what if we do that, and put together a whole business plan and marketing plan on it and comm strategy. And so we just launched it this year. It's already been funded by Aerie, um,
Awesome.
the clothing company. Um,
Yep. Yep.
and so it's huge. It's very exciting. But we give our team opportunities to come up with ideas, do the research behind it, like vet it, and talk about it as a team and come up with a timeline and a plan and a strategy if it's something we can feel like we would successfully, be able to pull off. And I think it's really important. I think, and we're not able to do every idea, obviously. I wish we were.
Of
We don't
course.
have the
Yeah.
personnel, resources, bandwidth, finances to do so. But I think it's really important to be able
Absolutely.
to give folks opportunities.
I think that's incredible. And I also think like creating the environment where failure is fully accepted. I mean, I think that that is one of the biggest hurdles for women is fear of failure. And I know it certainly was for me. And to be able to put yourself out there, whether it be in a work environment or more public environment, if you're the entrepreneur yourself, it's terrifying, but failure is the fastest way to learn.
Yeah.
And so I love that you are like, yep, okay, we tried, we failed, we thought it was in the bag. Let's do a postmortem. Let's learn from it. Like, and then I'm sure those great ideas for those other campaigns, those other concepts come from being like, okay, this worked here, but didn't here. And it just inspires, it sparks things. Failure is something that should be celebrated.
It should be. It's hard. I think
Um,
it's a hard
yeah.
mindset. It's a hard mindset. One of my colleagues is a exceptionally good at reminding us and teaching us of that, and I'm really grateful for her.
Mm. Love that. I love that so much. Hey, fellow boss babe. If you're craving less time on social because it feels like you're constantly in your comments and DMs trying to respond back to your potential customers, I totally get it. When I had my e-commerce business, I felt like I checked Instagram every 5 minutes. But what if there was a smarter, easier way to connect with your audience? Good news, there is. Let me introduce you to ManyChat, my go-to tool for automating messages on Instagram, Facebook, and even text. With ManyChat, you can set up automated conversations in minutes. No tech headaches, no coding required. Trust me, if I can figure it out, so can you. It's perfect for handling links to your offers, growing your list with DM keywords, and even booking clients literally while you sleep. It's efficient, super user-friendly, and honestly, it's like having a virtual assistant built right into your DMs. And the best part? Because you're a friend of the Write Your Own Story podcast, you can try it totally free for your first month. Just use the link in the show notes. Is there anything better than to test something for your business for an entire month with no cost attached? It's my favorite. So if you're ready to save time, respond faster, and turn followers into clients, tap the link in the show notes and give ManyChat a try for free. First month's on me. Grab the offer today and go enjoy a much needed break from your phone. You deserve it. What are you most excited about for the future of I Support the Girls?
So a year, was it a year ago? My timeline is so off right now. You know, when you start a new year and you're like, was that a year ago? Was it? We were blessed to be on the Kelly Clarkson show multiple times over the course of a year recently. And from that, we won a huge, like a big 1 year contest. And I don't know if contest is a competition. I
Ooh,
don't know
cool.
what. And it's called Good Neighbor of the Year. And they bring in
Hmm.
nonprofits from all over the country that are cherry picked by their local NBC station, NBC affiliate, and you get to go on
Mm-hmm.
the Kelly Clarkson show and talk about what it is you do. And on one of the times I was on the show with her, she's like, "Okay, well, what would you do if, like you got this money?" She asked that of everybody. Like everyone gets that question.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my colleague Erin came up with this idea, and it's called our menstrual oasis. And it's basically where we do events all the time and have, but we're able to pop into very specific communities and provide in a very short, like in a short period, tens of thousands of menstrual hygiene products and bras and underwear and makeup and beauty supplies and hair care and skincare and all different kinds of toiletries, because we do get millions of donations of those kinds of new products as well. And so that's our menstrual
Incredible.
oasis, and that's a brand new program that we launched on the Kelly Clarkson show just over a year ago. And so I'm looking forward to seeing.
Incredible.
It took us, I mean, like, we didn't have it ready to go, so we had to first build it. When we won the Good Neighbor of the Year and we got the $100,000 from Kelly Clarkson and Starbucks, it took us some time to put it together and build it out. And so our next one is happening in for International Women's Day, for Women's History Month. And so that is our next one that is happening, but we have them multiple times throughout the year in different cities all over the country, is our menstrual oasis. Um, and so that's a fun new program that I'm excited about. The survival guide for girls is, I'm very excited about that one. Um, we have partnerships with some new companies that are coming and launching in the next month that will have some really fun programs and content around it that I'm excited about, but I can't really share those. Um,
Oh my God. So cool.
and I think the most important one to share, and I'm just wordsmithing myself right now, it's important to have goals and dreams and aspirations as an entrepreneur, whatever you're working on. It's really important to be like, here's my, you know, here's my big goals, and here's how I want to get there, and here's how I'm gonna. That's great. And then when you're going, right, for the people who are up and like running, you're multiple years into your career, your job, your endeavor, whatever you've built, whatever you've constructed, I think it's also okay to be like, we're doing a great job. It's okay to just be status quo. And right now, where we are as a society, for women and girls' rights that are under attack on a international, national,
Yes.
and local level, I would say I
Yes.
I would be really happy if all of the nonprofits that are working in these spaces, large and small, are still here in a year and in 2 years doing all of their incredible work, because it's important to have these goals, but sometimes the goals are even just, you need the right climate, the right economic climate, the right social climate to be able to achieve those goals. And if you don't have that climate, it is that much harder. And then just surviving and being able to do the good work you do, the good programs you run, helping that one person, helping those 10 people, helping the 100 people, whatever it is that whatever product or service an organization, a company provides, and you're able to just get through that in this climate is success in my eyes.
I I mean, that hits square in the solar plex. Absolutely. I think everyone can feel the tension of the rights that we, have worked so hard to get, that feel so fragile right now. And that absolutely, that makes total sense. And honestly, I'm so glad you said that, because we all think about it as a personal level and worry about it, but to think about, and I know it's talked about in the media, but to continue to highlight the impact that it has on these organizations that you are in company with, that is doing the work, doing the most
Mhm.
important work. So whatever we can do, how can us as citizens help support that? Like, what do if we want, if someone is moved by that, like I am moved by that, what's the next right thing that we can do?
Sure. I mean, if somebody wants to learn more about who we are at I Support the Girls, this is backwards and I just wrote it down. So it's probably like not completely illegible. But you could go to, I'm sure there's like a way to pop it on the screen, isupportthegirls.org,
Yeah.
ORG, and learn more if we're in your community, if we're in your city, if you wanted to help and volunteer, if you want to give back. If you have bras that are shoved in the back of your drawer and you'd like to pull them out and pop them in a box or a mailer and send them to us clean, washed, and we will get them delivered to someone in need, as well as any sealed menstrual hygiene products. You can do that. And obviously, I would not be a good executive director if I didn't say money. Anybody who has the
Yeah,
available
absolutely.
finances to be able to make a donation and interested in doing so, we are always incredibly grateful for financial donations, large and small, every single day that help power our backbone to be able to do more and have a greater impact.
I am like just beyond moved by this conversation. It just to think about how much we can support each other, like as women and in community. And I think that what you do is incredible, and also your story is just so fun, and your energy is just the best. And like, I'm just obsessed with the fact that we've talked about everything from education around menstrual care to the Kelly Clarkson show, because it just shows how the world, we are all so deeply connected and we all have the ability to make change. The best way to make an impact is in community. So I love that these brands are working with you. I love that these, different channels, whether it be you're on shows or working with artists or whatever it may be is driving such a broader impact for your community. So thank you, Dana, for the incredible work you do and for your incredible team that supports you. And thank you
They're
for bringing
amazing.
awareness to this audience. Everyone, please share this episode. Go check out in your local communities if Support the Girls is active in your community. If not, pop things in the mail, donate if you can. There's such an impact that we can make for these women who absolutely need it. And I think what an incredible example to set for your children to be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is why it's important. This could be a great family initiative as well. But most importantly, please share this episode because more women need to know this story and have the opportunity to get involved in that's something that they see fit. So Dana, thank you again for your time. I absolutely love you. And thank you again. Yeah, everyone check out this post. Oh, I love it. First of all, your love for markers and Post-its. I'm like, are we separated at birth?
Yeah, you should see my glitter pen collection. And wait, I'm unstoppable with we give out tampon chapsticks. We have to mail you one. It's a chapstick that looks like a tampon.
Oh my God, yes, please.
Okay, but I've now like can you see what I did? I've glitterized.
Yes, did you bedazzle your tampon chapstick?
I sure did. On a work call last week. I was like, yes, that needs to happen.
I mean, queen energy right there.
It's something.
It's something, right? That's how I describe myself as well. It's something.
It's something.
Dana, thank you again. I want to make sure I let you go back and do all the important work that you do. If not, I would just keep you all day long. And thank you again. You guys check out isupportthegirls.org and get involved. All right. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Well, that's the end of this episode, but promise me you won't stop here with whatever it is you're feeling or dreaming about. I hope you leave today feeling empowered to live life just as you see fit. If this podcast was helpful to you, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. I genuinely just want to help women live the life they dream about. So if this type of content tracks with you, subscribe to this podcast or visit our website, writeyourOwnstory.co, to download digital courses or to grab a journal and a mug to just dream in and dream with. It's your life, lady. Do you. And just remember, I'm rooting for you and you've totally got this.